I didn't alter the ball in any way. I have a process that I go through before every game where I go in and I pick the balls that I want to, the footballs that I want to use for the game. Our equipment guys do a great job of breaking the balls in. They have the process that they go through. When I pick those footballs out, at that point, to me, they're perfect. I don't want anyone touching the balls after that. I don't want anyone rubbing them, putting in the air in them, taking the air out. To me, those balls are perfect, and that's what I expect when I show up on the field.
Johnny Carson once got in a little trouble talking about somebody's golf balls, but nonetheless, welcome to the Malzberg panel, ladies and gentlemen. I started with this topic for the panel because A, it's Friday, and B, we had Larry Elder on before, and as I ran out of time, he said, "You're not going to ask me about Deflategate?" And I said, I have no time left. So I made sure we got to Deflategate for this panel. And the panel is president of New Heights Communications, Christy Setzer, and host of the Roger Hedgecock syndicated radio show, the Roger Hedgecock Show, Roger Hedgecock. And welcome to both of you. All right, Roger, what got me after he, described how the balls were perfect and he didn't want anybody touching them and the whole, you've heard all of them by now. But when he was asked, are you a cheater? And he said, I don't believe so. What does that mean?
The whole thing means it's a distraction because everybody hates the Patriots. Everybody hates Brady. They hate success in this country anymore. They hate people. They hate the NFL because it's way too macho. So this whole thing to me is a distraction. This minute rule, and this is another thing. This is modern America where they want you to realize there's 1,000 minute rules, and you better be careful every step of the way that you be careful about these rules. Look, the balls are inflated, they're deflated. Who cares? We want him to play the game. When he played the second half with the so-called inflated balls, by the way, he came out 28 points to nothing over the Colts. This is a BS issue.
What about it, Christy?
Totally, I agree. Although I applaud any issue that allows Tom Brady to go on national television and talk about how he'd like his balls to be rubbed. So from my perspective, all's good. And in this family, my husband's a big Patriots fan, so I think we would like everybody to move on as well.
Wait a minute. So I would assume I shouldn't, but you're married to him, so yeah. You're of a certain political ilk, and you still root for the Patriots?
I do. As I said, by marriage, I root for the Patriots. That's right.
Good for you.
Wow. Yeah. All right. We can put that to rest.
Good things coming out of New England. We can absolutely.
And we can move on. All right. Let's get a little more down to business here. A couple of things. And first, let's start with your take, Christy, on this whole Israel thing. Orrin Hatch, been in the Senate 37 years, said, what makes the president think we need to ask him before we invite somebody to speak to a joint session of Congress? In fact, he's invited for the State of the Union by the Congress to come to us. It's not uncommon. It's happened before. Now you got Washington administration officials threatening that Bibi is going to feel pay a price for this, and he spat in our face. I mean, this is just a continuation of badgering a country and a leader that they despise, is it not?
Well, I would say that I wouldn't put the blame on the White House here or even on Netanyahu. I'd put it on John Boehner, who is the person who went around the sitting president in order to invite a foreign leader who has clashed with the sitting president just to sort of undermine Obama on foreign policy. That's what's going on here. Let's be clear. That's the game that Boehner and Republicans are playing in inviting Netanyahu to the joint session of Congress. And I think that's what's a problem, obviously. You don't undermine your sitting president on foreign policy, and certainly not in this kind of a way.
What about it, Roger?
Well, I think this is a foreign policy that must be undermined. It's a foreign policy that says he doesn't even want the threat of sanctions or sanctions in his quiver to use against the Iranians, who clearly are wanting one extension after another on these so-called negotiations. He is clearly allowing Iran to build into a nuclear power. Not only are the Israelis panicking, the Saudis are panicking, the Gulf states are panicking, because now there's sort of a Shiite pincher movement through Yemen in the south and west and east, and then in the north, of course, through Syria into Lebanon. And the Sunni powers, as well as Israel, are horrified by a United States president who's basically allowing Iran to become a nuclear power at the time when they promised that they're going to use that nuclear power to annihilate every Jew in Israel. This is a foreign policy that must be undermined.
Yeah, I don't know if
very
Roger
well
remembers.
stated. All right, okay, wait, Christy, when we come back, I promise I'll lead with you. You could, we'll pursue this. Then there are some other issues to pursue, including driver's licenses for illegals in Arizona and more. Don't go away. All right, we're back with the Malzberg panel, ladies and gentlemen, with Christy Setzer and Roger Hedgecock. Christy, as promised, I go to you. You wanted to respond to Roger on, Roger said this is a foreign policy that needs to be undermined. I don't know if that was the word, but, and you said that that's what was going to happen with Netanyahu being invited by Boehner to speak before Congress. So go ahead, Christy.
That's right. He said it's a foreign policy that deserves to be undermined. And I would ask Roger if he remembers any minute of the Bush administration in which anyone who dared to say anything opposing President Bush was coming out against a president in wartime, and how dare they? And it was basically being accused of treason. And and I just wonder why the position has changed so much now.
Let me answer that, because there's an absolute item. Nancy Pelosi, as the Speaker of the House of Representatives, went to Syria to negotiate directly with Bashar al-Assad at the beginning of that civil war, wore a hijab over her head in order to show respect to the Muslim faith, and undermined Bush's efforts in Syria at that time. We have had Democrats doing this forever against Republicans, and now you're squawking because
and now what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Is that what you're saying?
Your president has changed sides in the war on terror. He is now supplementing al-Qaeda. He is now withdrawing from Yemen. He's withdrawing from the insistence on Assad going, and he's facilitating the Iranians becoming a nuclear power. That's your president.
Right, again, and that has always been sort of the Republican position, no matter how much it adheres or does not adhere to the fact that, of course, the Democrat is giving comfort to the enemy, no matter, again, how much the same position had been espoused by the Bush administration. It's just, never let talking points get in the way of good facts, huh? Okay.
Let's try the facts.
Well,
first.
I'd hardly consider Bibi Netanyahu, who's supposed to be our biggest ally and who always has been until Iran eclipsed that title in that region.
Right.
Coming to speak to Congress is the equivalent of Nancy Pelosi kowtowing to the butcher of Syria.
Well, the point is that, look, on the face of things, it should look good. It should be fine. Obviously, Israel is a strong ally of America's, and obviously, we should agree on sort of fighting Iran. The problem, as I said, is the way in which it was done. I think the White House has every right to speak out against this.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Did the White House have every right? Well, they did have every right, but should they have hooked up with this Glozell woman with the green lipstick who bathes around in Cheerios and Fruit Loops in a tub of milk? And the president sat there, and this is a little clip from yesterday.
I cut all the hoods off his hoodies. I did that for real to protect him, because I'm afraid when he goes outside that somebody might shoot and kill him. And it's not like regular folks, it's the po-pos. I hope that this changes. How can we bridge the gap between black African-American males and white cops?
All right, and instead of, no pun intended, shooting her down and saying this isn't that isn't the problem, he perpetuated it. But Roger, this just shows to me complete disdain for the stature of the office of the presidency to meet with this woman while she's wearing her green lipstick. I'm sorry.
Now we care about the stature of the office of the president.
Wait, Roger. Wait. Christy, I asked for Roger first. Go ahead.
Christy, and look, I'm from California. Women in green lipstick is an ordinary thing. I find nothing offensive in it whatsoever. I do believe the president, of course, is entitled to talk to anybody he wants to talk to. We're entitled to draw our conclusions from it. But again, this is just one more tiny grain of sand in the building sandbar of distrust and a gap between the ordinary, everyday American and this president, who seems to be drifting off into some of these areas that are very un-American.
What's to say that this woman isn't the average, ordinary, everyday American?
Christy, you wear green lipstick?
I do not,
You do?
but I realize that, I think the president is the president of people who wear lipsticks of all colors, right? And so I think, of course, not only have the right, he has the obligation to talk to people who look differently.
The obligation. All right. Maybe we should line up every freak show we could find and make the president sit down and give them all an audience. Christy Setzer, Roger Hedgecock, thank you both. Have a great weekend.
Steve.
Gimme 5 is next.